Good morning, everyone. In February of 2015, I decided to pursue my first and hopefully only 100-mile ultramarathon. I went to the event alone and told very few people, mainly so that I didn't have to feel responsible to anyone in case I couldn't reach my goal. Unbeknownst to me, ultramarathons of that distance are set up to allow runners to fall back on shorter distances, shorter, of course. A 50-miler, a 12-hour, or a 24-hour race were my choices, finishing however many miles I could in that length of time. Late at night, when the temperatures dropped, I realized that I was grossly ill-prepared for the race. I had only one sweatshirt, one change of clothing, and my feet were already covered in blisters. I dug deep, deeper than ever before, running throughout the night and only resting for 20 minutes. Early the next morning, around 5 a.m., I realized that I couldn't do it, and I decided to drop down to a 24-hour race. I put on a good face when I told the race directors, explaining that I was tired and cold and not ready for the upcoming heat of the day. I finished the 24-hour race with a total of 85.3 miles, the farthest distance I had ever run. Thank you. I was thrilled, right? But something inside of me felt incomplete. When I told people about the race, I told them that I had finished 24 hours and 85.3 miles. Not that I had failed to complete the original 100-mile ultramarathon I had signed up for. The strange thing about attempting that level of distance was that I didn't need to feel like part of something familiar. Attempting that level of distance right in the middle of the busy semester made me feel half scared and half exhilarated. I think of that feeling as oppositional. The idea that I can be two completely dichotomous embodiments at the same time. I can feel happy to be attempting something completely new, yet scared of failing. Or I can feel fearless in the moment of accomplishing something I never thought possible, yet again fearful of failing. In those moments, as I reach beyond my wildest imagination, I realize that I'm taking myself out of my safe space, trying something completely new, and moving from consuming to creating, watching to doing, and seeing to being. After years of research and teaching on how consumers make decisions, I've come to believe that real progress happens when people move from only consuming to actually creating. Today, I want to propose that there are three main ingredients to do this. I'm going to talk about those ingredients and then discuss my ideas about their overlap. Picture yourself watching a Netflix show, listening to a song on Spotify, or reading your favorite book. Now, imagine creating the show, writing or performing an original song, like Trey, or writing a story or book. The first step to move from consumption to creation is opposition. Those oppositional forces that contain us can be anything from family structures to societal obligations. After all, each of us is born in a box, a metaphorical one that can contain us and often not limit us from being our full creative selves. Hold on, this is limiting me right now. Just a minute. This is really supposed to happen, I swear. All right. All right. Let's go back to opposition, because it's not good. The box as a metaphor is simply the set of all needless limitations and obligations and thoughts that stifle open thought, or ideas that stifle open thought. Opposition simplifies decisions. For example, a large set of snacks could become healthy, unhealthy, or salty, sweet. The next step is creativity. Our research findings so far indicate that students not only value creativity in the classroom, but enjoy active learning environments and instructors who foster creative thinking. Being creative does make a difference, especially when they find that they can help the outside community. For example, to work with something like Safe Nest, a domestic violence shelter. The third step is motivation. a topic that I've researched and been obsessed with for years. After all, how else can anyone accomplish virtually anything worthwhile in life? Intrinsic motivation comes from inside desire, whereas extrinsic comes from outside reward. A good example of an extrinsic motivator is when you have fear of losing your job, you perform better. The move from consumption to creation of content is massive. Or is it? Perhaps the biggest challenge is to learn the skills required to create the content, and then to believe that such content is actually worthwhile. Those skills, however large or small, form the building blocks to every creative idea. You all will gather those blocks here. Think of them as the alphabet to the stories you will later write. Opposition from the metaphorical box. Creativity as a way of thinking, and motivation to follow through are the three most important ingredients in my life. Together, they've allowed me to overcome negative circumstances, to pursue entirely new fields of research, to work with people in various countries and disciplines, and to become an ultramarathon runner. In combination, I think of the three of these things as decontextualizing or redefining. Pursuing your degree at UNLV is a perfect example of decontextualizing. Sure, perhaps you grew up in Las Vegas. Perhaps you already know people from your previous experiences. The importance of starting cannot be understated, but the grit, strength, and motivation to finish is just as important. After my first attempted 100-mile ultramarathon in February of 2015, remember that? And my fallback finish of 85.3 miles, I recovered for a few months. But then, I decided it was time to try again. In January of 2016, this year, I delivered my first TEDx talk on opposition, a big event and one that required months of preparation. A few months later, in April of 2016, during an even busier semester than the previous year, I finished my first 100-mile ultramarathon. In under 31 hours, this time not alone. In under 31 hours. Pursuing that ultramarathon was my next big decontextualization. And motivation in this case spanned years and required failure prior to success. In fact, most success comes after failure. Creating content is something that people do every day, all day, when they need to be creative. Let's see how we end this. This is my new website. I want to end with something important to tell you. I want you to move from consuming to creating, from watching to doing, and from seeing to being. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Krishen.